The ruling National Democratic Congress, NDC, opens nominations for parliamentary and presidential aspirants. Several young and ambitious names have come up, and analysts say the old guards could face a stiffer than anticipated challenge to push them off their seats. So who could be bold enough to contest against President Mahama? How different will this NDC primaries be from previous ones as the party expands its electoral college? Who is who in this context? This is today's big story with me, Stephen N.T. Right, so how would the parliamentary elections in 2016 look like with names like Dr. Ezenato Rawlings, Sam Nate George, Eric Don Arthur, Abeku Santana, and Alhassan Suhine? Are the younger generations too daring to be pitching up against the old guys who have held the NDC down over the years? Are these names an indication of a shift towards the center as started by former President John Evans Atta Mills? We're trying to get onto the telephone lines. Sam Nate George, who is popularly known on social media as Sam Jata George, who is a member of the NDC communications team. He is actually eyeing for the Pram seat, which has E.T. Mensah as the incumbent. You're watching today's big story. Let's get onto the telephone lines now and speak to... Right, we're trying to get Sam George on the telephone. We don't have him. Later in the discussions, we'll be having our member of the Joy News political desk, Afriyie, who has some information to share with us on happenings within the NDC. Tonight, we'll be discussing the names that have come up. Interesting names have come up. Presidential staffer Clement Park, for example, is eyeing the Busa South seat, and Dr. Kpesa White, who is acting director for the National Service Scheme, is also lacing his boots to contest the Shai Osu Doku slot. Let's get onto the telephone line and speak to one of the aspirants, Khahra Vonleh, who is hoping to contest for the Adentan seat. Good evening, ma'am, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, fantastic. Now, you are an experienced political figure. You've been around for some time now. So the fact that you have also been DC MC for Adentan. So you have quite a grassroots experience, which you're hoping to take advantage of to be nominated to lead the party in 2016. How hopeful are you?
Oh, I'm very hopeful that the people will give me the mandate to be able to serve them as their member of parliament coming the 2016 election. I'm very hopeful that at least Adentan people will also want to try a woman, for that matter, having two men served two conservative services. That I believe that they will not hesitate to try a woman to see how far this one to also go. I have confidence in the people of Adentan.
Confidence. So what do you bring? I mean, what do you have that the men who have been there in the past do not have, or you feel is an advantage over them, for which the delegates are supposed to give you their votes?
Thank you very much. For me, I think it's a continuation of what my vision that I brought when I became the municipal chief executive for Adentan. So for me, it's a continuation of exactly what I was able to do when I served as the municipal administrator. So it's a continuation. It's a continuation. It's just that maybe the leadership qualities have changed a bit now, moving into the legislature section. That is just about that. But it's a continuation.
You mentioned continuation and leadership qualities. I wonder really if, I'm not a resident of Adentan, but what exactly would you say that you've been able to do during your tenure as MCE for Adentan, for which you're hoping to kind of elevate and go to Parliament? and
Thank
do more.
Thank you very much. You know, I took over Adenta when Adenta was just barely 7 months into its establishment. And I will confidently say that I really put down a lot of foundation for the implementation of projects and programs. Let's come to education. I was able in my tenure to be able to put up schools, hospitals, even the water. I remember very well the water issue. I mean, well documented. When I was always, crying out for water. And I do remember very well when the Professor Atamil came to Adenta to visit Adenta, the late Professor Atamil, when he came, he asked me one thing, Khahra, what would you want me to do for you? And I said, Prof, we need water. And I'm happy to say that at least the initiative was done by me. And it's been implemented by the John Mahama's government too. And the water is now running very well in Adenta. So these are some of the things that, there are a lot. Education, hospitals, libraries, markets, roads. I think just to mention few, there's quite a lot.
Right.
Quite a lot. Even to the extent that, a land bank. I was able to give the assembly a land bank that, fortunately for us, where the senior high school is being put up now, was acquired by me under my administration. There's a lot that one needs to have done, and I will continue to do it if I should be given the mandate to serve as the minister, as the member of parliament. Right. There's a lot to do.
So
man is never short of one. So yes. I will always be there to at least lobbying for the right things to come into Adenta.
Right, so
I've been there before, and I know
let's look at your own preparations. I mean, there have been discussions of expanding the electoral college for your party, and there are many who thought that using that approach, re-registering everybody through a biometric process, enabling all card-bearing members to vote, could have its own advantages and disadvantages. How prepared are you, I mean, moving on with your campaign or whatever you have to do to secure the mandate of the electorates? How prepared are you to work with this new system your party is putting in place?
Whatever the leadership of the party decides, I believe is what we should all go by. For me, I welcome it. If in the wisdom of the party they've decided that they need to expand the electoral college to be able to give the opportunity for every member of the party to serve, I think it's good. It's very, very good in the sense that at least it allows people of Adenta to really express who they really want, to lead them into parliament, instead of limiting the number to some particular executive. But this one, they're giving opportunity for everybody who claims to be a member of the party to vote. And that enhances the democratic dispensation of the franchise freedom of the people to vote. So I think it's most welcome. I welcome it with open arms. And we are on the ground. We are also making sure that our people register, assisting in any way. People call me, Madam, we want to register. And I show them to the direct quarters that they can register. So I think it's most welcome. For me, I think I'm quite cool with it.
Right, thank you, Madam Khahra Vonleh, who is aspiring to contest for the MPship for Adenta. But before I let you go, what if I mean, there are many people who might not exactly feel the way you feel in congratulating you for a good job done. You have opponents. Everybody has opponents. What if they cite your lack of performance, or there were instances where some of your constituents had accused you of breaking the front of the party in the constituency? What if you come up against these people? What would you be saying to them in order to convince them that you are the new person, you are the one they must vote for?
Yes, sir. I think we need to get something very straight here. I didn't have a problem with my people in Adenta. The problem I had was with the assembly members within the assembly itself, not with the people of Adenta. I didn't have a problem with Adenta executives or the people of Adenta. I had a problem with assembly members. Unfortunately, I never there. Their tenure is over and they've left. And I'm talking just about 12 or 13 or 14 people.
Right, Khahra Vonleh, I think.
Agree with me.
Yeah.
It's just in a minority.
Yeah.
But I want to say that as many as hate me, I know that there are also many who love me.
That's
and
right.
I am being encouraged to go on this because the people themselves are calling for my coming. That is why I have come.
Right. Thanks very much for your time, and we wish you the best. But have you picked your nominations form yet?
Yes, I was the first to pick this morning.
You have? Okay. Right. So we wish you the best in your pursuit to go to Parliament. This is today's big story. Khahra Vonleh is an aspirant in the Adenta municipality. We have in our studio now Afriyie Asare is on our political desk. Is joining us. Kwachi, how are you, sir?
Great.
Afriyie and Kwachi. Which one are you comfortable with? Afriyie.
With all.
Anyway, so we're told that you have some information to share with us. What do you have?
Well, interesting names emerging all day long. This has been in the news there, especially because the party opened their nominations today. The latest is Malam Yusuf Issa, former sports minister, the man who was jailed under the Koku administration for failing to account for.
He was a sports minister under the Koku administration.
He's picked forms this morning to contest in the Adenta constituency. Now, the contest in Adenta is certainly said to be interesting because already the incumbent Emmanuel Ashimo is seeking re-election. You have Khahra Vonleh, you just spoke to, former MC for the area. You have Mohammed Ramadan, a presidential staffer, management consultant. He's also a stalwart in the area. And now you have Malam Issa also picking up phone. But the interesting thing about Malam Issa is that all along we've known him to be a member of the PNC and now he's moving to the NDC to contest on the tickets there as a parliamentary candidate. Let's look at another area like the Medina constituency. Now, aside the incumbent Alhaji Sorogo, who is seeking also in this constituency seeking election, we know that human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu is also contesting. And aside these two key candidates, you have some 6 people who are also set to pick up nomination forms to contest. But the interesting thing is that although Alhaji Amadou Sorogo, who's been in Parliament more than 2 terms, certainly from all indications has firm grounds with the delegates, with the grassroots of the party, looking at Francis Xavier Sosu, even though he's much more known for his human rights work, speaking on the media on these issues, his professional background. Very new in
the political terrain.
He has been dealing, and from our checks, he has been dealing over the past few years with the chiefs a lot, with members of the political party, and he's been organizing charity events in the constituency. So you cannot necessarily rule him out on that score. But finally, another interesting candidate, Senator Rollins, daughter of former President Rollins. We can say from our sources, our checks, that she will be picking up forms to contest in the Korle-Klottey constituency, which is currently occupied by Nneɛma Ashite, another stalwart.
I'll have you hold. I have Sam Nate George, who is an aspirant for the Ningo Pram seat, joining us on the line. Sam, good evening, sir.
Hi, Stephen. Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And we acknowledge that you had promised to come to our studios, but you have been caught up in traffic, so you couldn't come. There are many who say that your decision to going for the Ningo Pram seat is a very bold one, especially when you have somebody like E.T. Mensah as incumbent. I mean, how courageous are you that you can push someone who is referred to as a Mugabe in Pram? How confident are you that you can push him aside?
Well, let me say a very good evening to your viewers. And I must apologize for not being able to make it to your studio. I actually got caught up in the constituency after I went to pick up my nomination form this afternoon. I'm now returning to Accra. I take the talk of courage as a compliment. It simply is me responding to the call of my people. The people of Ningo Pram, the youth, the chiefs, the elders have called on me and said to me that for them, this is the time for a change. And they believe that I represent this kind of change they want to see. They believe they have seen the dynamism and the vibrancy I bring to the work I do in Accra. And they believe that constituency.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And so it simply is me responding to the call of my people.
So I'm curious. I mean, as somebody who has been around the political terrain for a while, you being very outspoken for the NDC and government on all platforms, social media, here and there. I mean, I have no doubt that you have your own core support base, but what really do you feel that you can bring to the Ningo Pram candidature that E.T. Mensah has not got, or you feel that is deficient in?
Well, one thing that the people have said to me everywhere is that when I engage with the media, I should convey their thanks and gratitude to Honorable E.T. Mensah for a time well served, and that they're grateful for his 20 years of service to the constituency. But then it is time for us to develop as a people. It is time for us to move up a gear as a people. What I bring to the ticket is human capital development, aggressive human capital development.
I have you hold human capital development. I mean, that's political rhetoric. What exactly does it mean? I mean, what do you bring to the table?
Exactly. I'm breaking down what human capital development means for me. When you look at the potential of my constituency and you look at the issues surrounding both skilled and unskilled labor, literate and semi-literate people, you realize the fact that there's huge potential. However, take, for example, skilled labor, masons, carpenters, painters. We have them in abundance in my constituency. There's a lot of projects going on in my constituency. The government is building a 5,000 housing project in Saglini in the constituency. You want to ask, how many of the workers working there are from the constituency? Next to zero, okay? And so you want to look at the opportunities that exist within the constituency for our own people to take them up. For those who are skilled and those who are literate, who have not been able to find themselves anything in terms of gainful employment, what are we doing with the numbers of factories that are springing up in the Ningo Pram constituency, which is becoming cosmopolitan by the day? Again, you look at the number of school kids who are dropping out. And when you look at the statistics in my constituency or in my district, you realize that it is on the rise. The number of kids that are dropping out of school, especially at the second cycle level. Why are they dropping out of school? What can we do to ensure that our children that are coming up in the constituency are able to progress? They're brainy kids. Some of these children find themselves having 6-1s, 8-1s in BC, and they're not able to continue to the senior high school. That is the kind of capital development, human capital development I'm looking to bring in there. Infrastructural development and the likes, we will use our network in government to lobby for those things. But then as an MP, my core mandate is supposed to legislate for the people and to look at the human capital development, which is what I'm going to look at.
Right, Sam George, we're grateful for your time, and we wish you the very best in your pursuit to unseat E.T. Mensah. We'll be looking out for you, sir. Right, so Afriyie, you were talking about the surprises and the colloquy and the presence and the ambitions of Ezenato Rawlings' daughter. But what does she bring? I mean, should those who are interested in contesting against her be worried that because she's the daughter of the former president, she could have an urge over them, or what?
Well, exactly. People have a number of reasons for which they'll vote for one candidate or the other. Incumbency could be one point. The fact that in this case, Ezenato, her father being the former president of this country, the founder of the NDC, clearly puts that's the main point.
Put her in an advantageous position.
That's why in the first place she's a key candidate to watch out for. But of course, Nneɛma Ashite over the years has built a certain record in the constituency. And I was speaking to some delegates. Of course, now the numbers have been expanded. The electoral college in the primaries have been expanded. But I was speaking to some delegates and some members of the party in Koleklote, and it's clear that even though you have some people there who want change, this man Nneɛma Ashite still has a firm footing in that particular constituency. Yes, Ezenato has that advantage, her father being the former president. But of course, she's not going to have it easy coming against an incumbent with, such firm footing in the area.
Especially also because she has been away most of the time. She studied abroad, lived abroad, and is only just more like surfacing for political ambition. There are many who might look at that and feel, hello, this is not a family dynasty or hierarchy?
Well, I tell you what, Stephen, she has been doing some work in the constituency. In fact, about 3 months ago, when the news came about the fact that she would be contesting, she denied it. But from my checks, all indications point to the fact that she had already been dealing with some members of the constituency already, and she had made her intentions clear to those who matter in Kwale.
Right. I'll get on to the telephone lines again. Koku Anyidoh is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Koku, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Stephen.
I know that opening nominations is a big deal. I mean, because there are many new faces and new names that are coming up. Younger ones are contesting against older ones. How is your party preparing to ensure that this won't, at the end of the day, create a certain friction which might look like the young pushing the old guards out?
Well, good evening. Don't forget that the party is currently engaged in a biometric registration exercise to open up the base of voting to allow many more people who can register and have cards
to do so,
to vote. So if we are doing that for the voting, there's nothing wrong with many more people also being interested in contesting for parliamentary elections. That's the beauty of democracy.
That's the beauty of democracy.
The fact that you have picked the form today doesn't mean that we're going to win. So yes, let many more people join the race. First of all, the nomination monies or the fees that they are paying to pick up the forms will remain at the constituency level for them to be able to use to fund their activities. So if 100 people want to pick the form, let them go ahead. That means more money for the constituency. So at the national level, we will be happy if many more people join the race. But the fact that you have picked the form doesn't mean that that's it for you. You have picked the form, you have to fill the form, you have to satisfy certain criteria. After that, there's going to be a vetting process which will finally give you the go-ahead and the green light to contest. So picking the form today doesn't mean anything. Let many people pick. And as to whether people are pushing people out, I don't think that is an issue. That is neither here nor there. Yeah.
Right, so there are also some names coming up, names like Malam Isa, Orekwa Mofa. Those people like Orekwa Mofa have been around for some time and also been silent for a long time, whilst Malam Isa has the infamous case against him at the sports ministry when he worked under the Kufuor administration. I know that names like that may make everybody take a step back and ask whether they are the appropriate candidates. But of course, that's left for those who vote for them to decide. So looking at these names, a lot more names which I may not be able to run through them. I also appreciate that as Deputy General Secretary, you may not want to speak on specific candidates. But how are you juggling the tall list of known and unknown previous appointees who are coming back? How are you juggling all of that to ensure that your party still remains favorites?
I mean, that's what I said earlier on, that we have a vetting process, or we're going to have a vetting process. There are strict guidelines governing the process. For the parliamentary level, you have to be at least 4 years old in the party and of good standing. Good standing. That's the operative word. So at the vetting process, you will have to prove to us that, yes, you indeed have belonged to the party for the past 4 years and that you are of good standing. I mean, for example, a typical example, and I will mention his name. I mean, why not? I mean, we are hearing that somebody like Tenyanu wants to join the race. No problem. When Tenyanu comes to pick a form in Lower Manya, allow him to pay his 1,000 cedis and pick his form, because that 1,000 cedis will come in handy for party work at the constituency. But at the vetting process, Tenyanu will be asked, you joined the NDC, you left and went and joined the NDP. When did you come back to the NDC? Have you satisfied the 4-year criteria? So those are the issues to be asking at vetting. So it's not just about picking form. That's what I'm saying. That's what the form. Even if Nana Akufo-Addo wants to pick a form today, he's allowed to pick a form.
That's very sarcastic, Koku, and we're grateful. But we wish your party the very best as you go through this process, which is expected to be calm and peaceful. Thanks very much, Koku Anyidoh, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. So, we've spoken a lot. So, what does it look like now for the party as nominations open? By the close of nominations, what are we?
Derek J, and so on and so
Abeku
forth.
Santana,
Abeku Santana,
Suhini,
and so on. And the point is that looking at the MPP parliamentary primaries that were held somewhere in July, the obvious thing that was that you had a number of young people in there as well, fresh candidates. It seems something
more like replicating itself in the NDC.
In the NDC,
that could be a very interesting contest in 2016. Right, Afriyie, we're grateful for your time on today's big story. Kwachi Afriyie Nyama is with our political desk. And my name is Stephen Enti. We'll be back with Joy News Interactive.